This is We the People with Forrest Wilson.
We the people. We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast.
This president or any American or Western politician cannot end this war unless we fight to the defeat of radical women and children literally running for their lives to escape this insurgency. Meanwhile, we've got thousands of illegal immigrants pouring across the border. And what does the second place fool have to say about it? Joe Biden tells the National Association of Manufacturers, what the U.S. needs is more, not fewer immigrants, a constant, unrelenting stream of new immigrants, not dribbling, but significant flows to bolster the national economy. And he goes on, we need it badly from a purely economic point of view. I mean, is this guy kidding? We have almost a third of our population out of the workforce. And as far as immigrants, my God, they're flooding the southern border. We have an unrelenting stream right now. And what about the dreamers? Obama reminded Democratic donors recently that our future rests on the success of people brought to the United States illegally as children who would qualify for citizenship if Congress had passed the DREAM Act. Like they're going to find work when so many Americans can't? Is this guy looking to bolster the ranks of the Democrat Party with illegals? You know what? We face a serious threat from this invasion. Just like El Dumbo announcing to the insurgent terrorists in Iraq and Afghanistan he's ending the war, which he can't, he's announcing a path to terror in this country. In other words, fly to Mexico and walk across the freaking border. You know, I know a lot of people are scared. People are looking at the failures of this government and administration and wondering how we got here. I mean, what's next? Well, I know what's next. More and more central planning. You got to think about it. I mean, are you in compliance? Whatever activity you're engaged in, you may be in for a rude awakening, my friends. My next guest thought he was in compliance, only to find out to his horror that he wasn't. I want to bring in Kevin Gates of Powhatan Energy Fund, an electric power trading partnership run by Mr. Gates and his twin brother, Rich Gates. The fund has about 10 investors. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
I am here. Forrest, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. And you hired a contract trader through this Powhatan Energy Fund with a PhD in electrical engineering to run a pilot trading program in the energy market. Give me an overview of how that worked, Kevin.
Well, it was a personal investment that my twin brother and I and some of our friends set up to diversify our personal investment portfolio. And we had set up a partnership called Powhatan Energy Fund, and we engaged a third-party trader. His name is Alan Chen. Alan's story is an interesting one. He grew up in communist China, got his PhD there, and then moved to the United States about 20 years ago, hoping to leave an oppressive government behind. He spent his first 10 years here learning about what was, for him, the American dream. He started his own business advising clients like us on how to navigate the power markets.
So, Mr. Chen was making these trades, and these things are like securities. You can buy and sell them, correct?
Yeah, the power market is a not well understood market. It's generally an immature market based upon, I guess, decisions by the Department of Energy to deregulate the power market. But yeah, one can virtually trade megawatts of energy in any of the regional power markets and effectively bet on the relative price of electricity at different points at different times. So these are products that can trade much like futures markets or equity markets, or other markets, and that's really the purpose. And the objective is to introduce competition to these markets that will ultimately provide stability, price discovery, and ultimately help the rate-paying consumers who buy the electricity to, power their house.
So Dr. Chin's making these legal trades on behalf of you and your brother in your account, and initially he loses about $400,000, but something astounding happened. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so this was in May of 2010. We set up a Powhatan Energy Fund to be a member of the PJM market, which controls the electrical grid in the Mid-Atlantic area. The first several days, he lost over $400,000. We had funded the account with about $2 million. He lost about $400,000 the first 2 days, and then over the course of the next 9 weeks, he made about $5 million. Obviously, with other losses throughout, but generally a profitable summer for him.
And some of these trades resulted in a rebate, which was available to any trader or any electric utility, and those rebates were a considerable portion of the profits that you guys were making, correct?
Yeah, as it turns out, the rebates, which were at the time that he was placing the trade, they were unknowable. They were defined after the fact, but he had considered the fact that the system paid these rebates for considering which of his spread trades to place. But as it turns out, a good portion of the profit associated with his trading activity was a result of these rebates, or really transmission loss credits or uplift payments that the system paid to traders and physical transmission owners.
So just to be clear, this is something the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission sanctioned and was available to anybody trading in that particular market space, correct?
Correct. This was defined by the tariffs that the federal government itself approved. The federal government itself had acknowledged that these rebates could and would affect trading behavior. And as they had predicted, it did affect Allen's and other market participants' trading behavior.
Well, I want to get into what happened next, because that's really where your story starts. And I've got to take a short break. Can you hold over and tell everybody what happened after this particular set of trades took place?
We'd be happy to do so. Thank you.
Excellent. You're listening to The Resistance, AM 600 WBOB, Forrest Wilson. I'm on with Kevin Gates, and we're back. AM 600 WBOB, Forrest Wilson, The Resistance, We the People. So I'm on the line with Kevin Gates, Powhatan Energy Fund, and he had made some trades over a period of time in the electric energy market, and received some rebates. And Kevin, you've amassed some money in your fund at this point, and what happens?
Well, I guess in August of 2010, so about 9 weeks or 10 weeks after the trading had started, we received a letter from the federal government, specifically the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or the FERC, informing us that they had opened an investigation into market manipulation. They asked us to, preserve all of our documents and respond to data requests asking for information on, emails, other communication, and information on the trading activity that took place. We were then, some of us were deposed, brought down to Washington, D.C. to testify under oath about our involvement in the matter.
And at this point, you followed all of the regulations to the letter, as I understand from reading your website and the various reports available on what happened to Powhatan.
Yeah, I don't think we could have followed the rules any better. We did exactly our trader, Alan Chen, did exactly what he was supposed to do. He was, as a trader, you have to look at all costs and all benefits of the trades, and you have to follow the rules. And, you know, when you hire somebody, they have a fiduciary duty to seek attractive investments for you. So, yeah, the trading activity was perfectly consistent with the tariffs. I simply think that the FERC thinks that we just made too much money, and that made them upset. Also, it's possible that the FERC itself was embarrassed. It was a policy decision that they made that created this market structure, the rebates that allowed us to grow our investment from $2 million to $7 million.
But again, you're not the only trader doing this, and according to one of the FERC's prior regulators, she sided with you.
Yeah. Susan Court, the former enforcement director at the FERC, is one of many experts who we have engaged that has come out supporting our position and done so in a public fashion. And she even is one of those experts who made herself available for video statements. So we asked her to state her positions on video, and we've uploaded that made that available publicly as well.
What is your what's the website again? What's the website address so people who have interest in this overreach of the federal government can go read about it for themselves?
It's at FERClitigation.com, FERC litigation.com, where we've basically, long story short, we spent a lot of money on the defending ourselves, and we received a preliminary findings after spending over $1 million trying to, what I would say, educate the FERC. They had sent us a non-public preliminary findings of market manipulation. They had basically said that the defenses that we had raised had no merit, and they believed we had committed a fraud on the market. We didn't think that they were really paying attention, so in the negotiations behind closed doors, so we thought that we should, maybe they'd focus a little bit more if we had the debate in broad daylight. So we created the website FERClitigation.com, where we uploaded their charges of market manipulation, and we uploaded all of the legal back and forth that our attorneys have had with the FERC, and 13 independent expert affidavits or position papers from everybody ranging from the former enforcement director at FERC, former chief economist at the SEC, probably the world's leading economist as it relates to commodity market manipulation. I mean, the people, the very people who define the term market manipulation all came out enthusiastically and supported our position. And we put their position papers out on the website as well.
Well, I've read through all of your stuff, and I can't find anybody that supports FERC's assertions of market manipulation. I mean, my God, it was within the regulatory guidelines and available to all traders. Now, did they ever offer you to settle?
It was certainly implied in a lot of the communication that they asked us to settle, but as far as, settlement was never on the table from our perspective.
Did they put a number out there?
They didn't. But it didn't even matter if they had asked us to settle for $1. I wouldn't have settled for $1. We didn't do anything wrong. I'm a little bit too far along in my career to succumb to bullying tactics. So it didn't matter. I'd rather err on the side of making a poor, quote-unquote, business decision, but doing the right thing. It wasn't about dollars and cents. It was ultimately about defending our good name, stopping this, exposing or highlighting this regulatory overreach and candidly bullying, and ultimately helping the market and the very people who the FERC is supposedly trying to defend, the rate-paying consumers. Our activity is ultimately helping those people. I would claim that the FERC's hurting those people. So by exposing their behavior, I think we're improving the market and improving conditions for really everybody.
Now, it all begs the question, are you politically active or have you ever been involved in it?
For really everybody.
Now, it all begs the question, are you politically active or have you ever been involved in any type of political activism on either side?
Well, a little bit. I've not really politically active, but I have generally some libertarian, moderate libertarian beliefs, both as it relates to fiscally and socially. And I've been involved in financial services. I had considered myself a Democrat. In 2008, I supported Barack Obama. I contributed to Barack Obama, largely because I wasn't, overly impressed or overly happy with some of the social and other policies by the Bush administration. And candidly, I did see some bad behavior taking place on Wall Street. That being said, this regulatory environment in this administration has rattled me and shaken me to the core. I've never seen such abuse of power as what I've seen before. So obviously this has changed my perspective a great deal, and we are getting involved politically, specifically as it relates to the director of enforcement at FERC. His name is Norman Bay. He was brought onto the FERC to lead its enforcement division in 2009. And he came with really little or no material experience in the utilities or markets generally. He was a former U.S. attorney who was also a law professor, in large part because of the positive press that he had received for extracting settlements out of some of the big banks, J.P. Morgan specifically.
$410 million.
Excuse me?
$410 million extracted from J.P. Morgan Chase.
Yeah, it was in total, it was about 625. They paid about 410, that amount, but they also agreed to forego bid cost recovery payments from the California ISOs for another couple hundred million dollars. So it was north of $600 million, I believe, that settlement all in cost JP Morgan to this day, and there's not a lot in that.
Kevin, we gotta hold you over for just one more short segment. We've got to take a time out for some capitalists. You're listening to The Resistance, AM 600 WBOB. My guest is Kevin Gates. Stay tuned.
Let's return to We the People with Forrest Wilson. Once again, here's Forrest.
And we're back. My guest is Kevin Gates. He's the founder of Powhatan Energy Fund. It's a fund which was trading some electrical energy similar to stocks, but a security all the same. And he has been attacked literally by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission under this, actually the person who's in charge of enforcement, Norman Bay. Well, Kevin, what's next for you and your brother?
Well, we're, I guess, involved with the, politically involved with the nomination or the confirmation process of President Obama's nominee to be the chairman of the FERC. His name is Norman Bay, and based upon perhaps some of the large settlements that Norman his department had received, President Obama had suggested or nominated him to be chairman of the commission, and we're involved just trying to expose this, so that the senators who need to confirm the nomination can make an informed decision. As it relates to other matters, we're professional investors. Most of my day job is managing money in the equity markets. In the commodity markets, we're we're focused and committed there. But in this regulatory environment, I will not invest a nickel in any asset that's FERC regulated, or even one that FERC may mistakenly think it regulates. So we're keeping a far distance from the electricity or the power markets, just because there's simply too much risk, and risk that you can't understand or can't quantify. And as a prudent investor, it does not make sense to make such investments when you don't know what the rules are, and even if you do understand the rules, they can change and can change so retroactively.
Well, apparently Norman Bay has made it through the confirmation hearing, so next up is a vote. But there's little information really available from FERC on Norman Bay, correct?
Yeah, he doesn't have a long track record in the industry, and his views on, for instance, fossil fuels aren't really fleshed out. There's been little transparency in terms of the behavior of his department or his work the last 5 years as the director of enforcement, but we're at least doing our part to provide that transparency.
Yes, and the former nominee, this Ron Benz, he was apparently all of the above guy, as long as it didn't come from below the ground. But there was a lot of information released on him, and he was rejected as a possible chair of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Well,
correct. That was last year.
I want to get your website out one more time so people can go do their own research and they can see this for themselves. Just give that website one more time, if you will.
It's FERClitigation.com, FERC litigation.com, or you could simply Google Kevin Gates Powhatan Energy Fund. There's a wealth of information out online, but we think our website is a central repository where we have provided all the our legal opinions, the FERC allegations, as well as links to a lot of the articles that have been written about us.
And one final question: has all of this changed your view of the Democrat Party?
Oh, of course. This is an example of government run amok. I am for regulation. I think that regulators serve a purpose, especially to sniff out fraud in the markets. There are people who do bad things, and they need to be stopped. That being said, this is not what it is. This is a witch hunt. This is government run amok to the extreme. I never imagined that this type of behavior could take place by supposedly public servants, and I never imagined that President Obama would nominate the architect of this organization to promote him to the top position. So certainly it has to change my perspective, and has done so significantly.
Kevin Gates, I want to thank you for coming on the show and providing this very important information on the regulatory tyranny that many of us are experiencing. And I want to thank you again. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for the opportunity, Forrest.
Well, there you have it. It's 904-222-TALK, 904-222-8255. We're going to continue on. Yes, this Norman Bay is quite a character, but we don't know a whole lot about him. He's literally one step away from confirmation, and the fear is, what's he going to do once he controls the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission? Many believe that he is going to continue the construct of the climate change agenda of President Barack Obama. And, you've got to understand, when he says, I've got a pen and a phone, we know what he's going to do with the pen. But let me explain to you the phone. He's got legions of minions in these federal regulatory agencies standing by to inflict pain and suffering on people like Kevin Gates and his brother. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. It's got to stop. I'm not sure where we go from here, but I do want to give you one more interesting point about this whole situation that the Gates brothers are facing. And this is according to Joseph Rago of the Wall Street Journal, RAGO. The Gates case offers a rare glimpse into the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's prosecutorial method and the workings of the larger regulatory state in the Obama era. Since 2009, that's when Bay was brought in. The commission has transformed itself from the boring regulator nobody ever heard of into a fearsome scourge of Wall Street and U.S. business. And he goes on to say that FERC's most notable scalp so far is a $410 million settlement last year with J.P. Morgan Chase. It's just amazing what these regulatory agencies can do. I know I was the focus of one at one point. I wasn't offered a settlement. They simply fined me an exorbitant sum of money, and all I did was miss a filing and a filing fee. I missed a slip of paper acknowledging a branch in Kentucky, a branch of a mortgage lender in Kentucky. It cost $100, and I was operating in broad daylight. It wasn't like I wasn't working with the Department of Banking and Finance in the state of Kentucky. But because of that, by the way, this was one of the only things that they could find on my company. But what they did was they fined me $42,000 for missing that filing. And I'd been working with these people for several years. It wasn't like I just popped up, by the way. Not one single consumer complaint. Not one. I simply spoke out on the radio 4 years ago and found myself in 4 simultaneous audits. So I know exactly what the Gates brothers are going through. And I know exactly what the rest of us are going to go through unless we do something to turn the tide. You know, there's a number of incumbents that are sitting up there for literally decades, many of them Republican, and they're co-conspirators in the murder of this great republic. I want to bring in another guest. This is somebody that I hadn't planned on. And I'm looking at Jack. Jack's not looking at me. Jack, I want to bring in another guest here in a few minutes. This is someone who wants to challenge the incumbent in the 4th District. We'll bring him in a moment. Jack, we've got a caller. 2. Forrest Wilson, you're on live. The Resistance, AM 600 WBOB. Go ahead.
I guess you can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay, great. Is there a petition on this specific subject?
Can you repeat the question? Is there a petition on this particular subject?
Yeah, on this specific subject.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, on the overreach of government, especially in this agency, is there a petition online? But the Tea Party has a site, Petition to Congress, petition the number 2 congress.org. I put a petition on there about the impending extra taxes and confiscations of IRAs. And a lot of people do look at that site, and if you want to get action out of Congress, that's one of the places to deal with it. With only 20 signatures, I got the U.S. Senate on pensions and Social Security to pick up the issue.
Well, this issue
they're terrified. They're terrified of petitions.
Yes, well, this issue regarding FREC is in front of the Senate right now. They're getting ready to vote on the confirmation of Norman Bay. Norman Bay is he's the head of the enforcement arm of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And if nothing is done, in other words, if your senator votes to confirm this man, we've basically got yet another person with zero experience in a position of extreme power as it relates to what the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission regulates. So,
right. Well, ask Gates to go to that site. It's the Tea Party in Virginia site. A lot of people use it. put a petition together. I'll sign it. And basically, he just needs to write up what's happened, give a reference to his internet site, and it will go to your congressman, your 2 senators, and to President Obama.
Well, I think that's a good suggestion.
Mine is theusafunds.org. You can take a look at that one. I just threw it together one night. I was really aggravated at the direction of taxes on IRAs, 401ks, etc., and that we should all have one as soon as we're born. You can't say you're going to get rid of Social Security as a politician, you'll get voted out of office. But basically, I'm saying that Social Security should be the backup, but we should all have an IRA as soon as we get our Social Security card.
Yes.
And so if you write it up right and you talk about it on your show and ask people to sign it, and he will go and interview other people, you'll get some action. He could do it very quickly. It only takes a few minutes to put it together.
Well, we'll have to look into it. I sure do appreciate the call. My next caller may have another solution. Yes, is this Ryman Shoaf?
I'm here, Forrest.
Ryman Shoaf is running against Andrew Crenshaw in the 4th Congressional District, state of Florida. And you are, tell us about yourself, Ryman.
Well, what I'll tell you, Forrest, is, first of all, let me tell you what I'm not. And I'm not establishment. I'm not a career politician. What I am, I'm a career naval officer. I spent 27 years of my life wearing a uniform. Spent a lot of that 27 years here in Jacksonville. I started out at Cecil Field. I had 2 of my commands at NES Jacksonville. I had 8 total deployments, and 3 of those deployments are right out here at Mayport. 2 on the Forrestal when she was here, and I did the last deployment of the Kennedy when she was stationed here. So I spent most of my time here, and then when I finished up with my Navy career, I married a Jacksonville girl, and when you marry a Jacksonville girl, you're coming back to Jacksonville. So we're here now. And when you wear a uniform, Forrest, you have to keep your mouth shut about your political views. And I'm not in a uniform anymore, and I don't have to keep my mouth shut anymore, and I'm not going to, because I cannot stand what I see happening to our country, specifically this president, this Democratic Party, and they are moving to destroy our country with their policies, and I can't take it anymore. And the establishment, like you say, they're sitting on the sidelines complicit, and when one of those individuals that is complicit is Andrew Crenshaw, and I'm going to do everything I can to send him into retirement and see if I can't make a difference.
Well, they're complicit in the murder of this great republic, and I want you to hold the line because I want to try to help folks understand how this election's going to work. AM 600 WBOB, you're listening to Forrest Wilson, We the People and the Resistance.
Let's return to We the People with Forrest Wilson. Once again, here's Forrest.
And Cam Anderson, State Farm Insurance Agent. Cam is like a good neighbor. He also does mortgage refinances. Cam's number is 904-381-1206, 904-381-1206. And we're back, the Resistance, Forrest Wilson. I'm talking to Ryman Shoaf, and Ryman is running for the 4th Congressional District here in Florida against Andrew Crenshaw. I just want to tell you, before we go any further, thanks for your service to the nation.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yes, and hopefully you'll have an opportunity to serve again here shortly. Now, I'm on your Facebook page, and I'm looking at this chart that's up there, and it says Representative Andrew Crenshaw, lifetime average of 47% in what? Voting record? Voting with Democrats, against Democrats? How does that... I couldn't understand. You've got Eric Cantor right below him, and he has he's actually got a higher lifetime average of 54%.
Yeah, what we want the voters to see there is that's from the Heritage Foundation, and Heritage ranks all of the members of Congress, and they look at when a bill comes forward, and does that bill fall within the confines of the Constitution? When every senator, every House member, they take an oath to support and defend the Constitution. Now, the issue is that we need to send people there who not only support and defend the Constitution, but those who actually obey the Constitution. So what Heritage does is they look at the bill and they decide whether or not that bill falls within the limits of the Constitution, and then they rank the congressmen on how they follow the Constitution. Now, the average Republican, Average Republican's about 65%. Ron DeSantis is around 95. Ted Yoho is about 70. But you look at Andrew Crenshaw, and he's at about 41%, and the average is 65. And when I talk to people around the district in Nassau, Baker, Duval County, they tell me all the time, oh, you're running against Andrew Crenshaw. Well, you know, I really don't like Kareem Brown. I'm like, really? Well, why don't you go to the Heritage website and look at Kareem Brown, and you come up 4 names, you get to Andrew Crenshaw. So you don't like Kareem Brown, but you like Andrew, yet you look at his voting record as far as being in line with the Constitution, he's only 4 representatives above her. Look, you call yourself a Republican, you say you're defending the Constitution, but you vote like a Democrat. Do I need to say any more, Forrest?
No, that's an amazing statistic. I mean, I launched a candidate against Kareem Brown in the 2010 elections. He was defeated, but we certainly made him spend some money. And hopefully, this time around, you can unseat the Democrat Andrew Crenshaw.
Yeah. Well,
notice I said Democrat.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, at least I'll stand up. At least stand up for Kareem Brown. I mean, she doesn't pretend to be anything other than what she is. I mean, you tell her that where she is on that Heritage Foundation, she's probably proud of that score. But my point is that, you know, if you're a Republican, you ought to be on the side of freedom and free markets. And you don't see that from Andrew Crenshaw. In fact, you don't see that from a lot of the folks in the Republican Party. And that's why this election with Eric Cantor was so important, because a lot of people tell me, Ryman, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I vote or not, because things don't change. And I'm telling people, if you get up, you get engaged, you have conviction, you show up at the voting booth, we can make a difference. And what you saw with Eric Cantor, history can repeat itself on the 26th of August, because people have a choice. And this is a big Navy town. Jacksonville's a big Navy town. And come 26 August, you can vote for someone who has stood up for veterans, or you can vote for someone who actually is a veteran. You have a choice on 26 August, and you can vote for someone who's actually a constitutional conservative, because if I go there, I'm not only going to support and defend the Constitution, I'm going to obey the Constitution, because that's what we're sent there to do.
Now, the 26th is an important date, because a lot of people think they're thinking of the general election. They can't actually vote for you in the general election.
Yeah, well, there's no Democrats running in this district, because we're an R+17 district where there's 17% more Republicans than Democrats. So the Democrats don't even put up a candidate. So the only 2 people you're really going to see in August is Andrew and myself. So if I win in the primary, there'll still be an election in November, but my name's going to be on the ballot at that point. So it's very imperative that if people want to make a change, if they want something different, if they'd like to have someone who will not only be a Republican but actually act like one, then they need to vote for Ryman Shoaf on the 26th of August, because if they don't, Andrew Crenshaw is going to be in there again. And what I'll ask people, when they tell me I'm sick of what's coming out of Washington, if we send the same old career politicians back to Washington, how are we ever going to change anything? You got a chance on 26 August to make a difference, and I hope people show up on that day.
Yeah, that's an important date. They've got to vote in the primary, so the Republicans really have to show up for you and vote on that date. Then in the general, you're the only person on the ballot, correct?
That's correct. That's how it works.
Okay, well, one of the things I'd like to do in the last couple of minutes is give you an invitation to come back. I'd really like to delve into your thoughts on the government and how we might make some changes. So you've got an open invitation.
I'm excited about it. You put me on the air, and I will answer every question. And when we're done, people in Jacksonville, Florida will know exactly where Ryman Shoaf stands.
Excellent. Well, Ryman, I sure do appreciate your time today, and I look forward to engaging you here in the future.
And of course, if I could, for everybody listening, RymanShoaf.com, RymanShoaf.com, or Facebook/Ryman Shoaf. People can go on there. They can help us. We're walking doors and making phone calls, and we'll take every bit of help that we can get.
Excellent. Well, I sure do, again, appreciate your time, Ryman Shoaf.
Yep.
And we will be in touch. Well, thank you, Ryman.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So there you have a candidate who would stand up for the Constitution. This is really the only way that we're going to get this great republic back. Now, I've been threatening to bring in this president of Planned Parenthood, Cecil Richards. I have been working with their media team trying to organize an interview with Miss Richards. But to date, I have nothing. And again, I wouldn't debate abortion with her, but I'd just like to talk about the Margaret Sanger Award. Next week, I'll expose more on that. Thank you for listening today. An hour sure goes by quick. You've listened to The Resistance with Forrest Wilson.